So, welcome back to True Geordie Extra for those people who love me just that little bit too much. Or not, as the case may be, according to some of the comments. As you know, in the past, I just stopped reading comments. But lately, thanks to a little bit of introspection, bit of work on the mental health, now I can read as many as I like and it has no impact on me. It's not because of a therapist or anything, although I do recommend it for some of you lot out there, judging by these comments. I recently did a video about Tommy Fury. Does he deserve a shot at Jake Paul? And naturally, because I am one of the only content creators in the space to not shit on Jake Paul non-stop, you kind of become a target for people who dislike Jake Paul. And I get it, you know, a lot of people dislike him, and therefore they're going to hate me if I don't also dislike him, because that's how hate works. Do you know what I mean? It's not logical. Probably not getting off to the best start here, are we? So just to clear a few things up, the way I always look at Jake Paul, this young kid who I met a few years ago who wanted to have a boxing match with KSI's little brother, that's who I met. You lot have met the arrogant superstar YouTuber who is throwing money around, and you know the Jake now. I knew the Jake then. The idea of Jake Paul then fighting Tyron Woodley and knocking him out cold within 3 years of me meeting him, I would never have believed it. So naturally, I'm like, fucking hell, fair fucking play. Like, every step of the way with YouTubers, whether it be KSI, Logan Paul, Jake Paul, they all get told, you can't do what you say you're going to do. So when one of them goes and achieves a dream, whether that be Logan fighting Mayweather, KSI with his music career and then coming back to boxing, Jake Paul with what he did, beating Tyron Woodley, former UFC champion, I'm all for it. Because as they get bigger, the opportunities to all YouTubers increase. I also just don't mind seeing people succeed. You know, funny old thing. Now, I know he said a lot of things, and for some people, they get drawn into that, the promo chat and all of that. But for me, it doesn't bother us because I understand the game. And this game is as old as fighting itself, in fact. You go back to the greatest, Muhammad Ali. Not comparing him to Jake Paul before you all have a fucking panic attack. But the point is, you got to sell yourself in this game. You got to talk that fucking shit and get everyone either loving you, hating on you, but more importantly, giving a fuck. And that's what Jake Paul has done better than 99.9% of boxers. Because most boxers, they're not good at that. Right? Some of them are great at fighting, shit at talking. And that's why this kid has gone to the very top immediately, because he brings numbers and he understands how to play with you lot. Don't mean to be belittling you when I say that. It's just you know, McGregor did it. All the good ones do it. Aside from Mike Tyson, he was just fucking terrifying, and that was enough. Just to reiterate, just for one more time, I'm not saying Jake Paul is the second coming of Prince Nassim Hamed. I'm just saying, for a kid who was a YouTuber to take up boxing and then 3 years later knock out a UFC champion is good. Can we all... Anyone... Because even when he fought Ben Askren, most people were picking Ben Askren to beat the shit out of him. As much as Ben Askren was a Christmas pudding turning up to that fight, most people thought, he can't beat a real fighter. Luckily, I made 14 grand on that. So... thanks to you lot who all didn't believe, because I cashed in. So I worded the last video, does Tommy Fury deserve to fight Jake Paul? And I think a lot of people seem to misunderstand what I was meaning there. This is nothing to do with boxing ability here. Here's a little quick fucking lesson for some people who should know better, because they apparently are the boxing experts in the comments. Jake Paul has all the power here. When Jake Paul fights, a lot of people watch, a lot of people care, and a lot of money is spent. Tommy Fury, on the other hand, nobody cares. Nobody watches and no money is spent. Hence why he was bottom on the card of a Tyson Fury fight when it's his own fucking brother fighting. So he doesn't make a lot of money at all, maybe a couple of $100 grand at best, okay? Jake Paul in the multi-millions, tens of millions in the last year. Why do you think Jake Paul was promoting the biggest women's fight of all time when he's never done that before? Because he's immediately able to just boom, push people towards an event and sell more pay-per-views without even fighting on the card. Fuck the fighting ability. Are we all aware now? Jake Paul brings the eyeballs, which means any opponent he chooses is going to get rich off of him because they're going to get much more money and get paid a lot more to fight him. In which case, you are lucky to get that. And that's what it's about. Does he deserve it? Has he done enough to warrant it? When in the last fight that he had lined up with Jake Paul, he did very little promo. He relied on his dad to do most of the fucking promo. He then pulled out of the fight with a matter of days to go, which left Jake Paul up shit creek without a ladder, and a fight that nobody gave a fuck about in a really difficult situation. He had it in the palm of his hands, Tommy, and he blew that opportunity. Do you know what I mean? So, wording it in a sense of, does he deserve it? He's the one who's put himself in this position. I'm the fucking... I think Tommy seems like a nice lad. He seems like a good boxer. I've got nothing against him. Does everyone understand this now? Do you know what I mean? You might hate Jake Paul, but acknowledge the position of power he is in and stop getting pissy with me because I'm acknowledging the position he's in instead of just hating on him like a lot of other people are. But I may not have answered everything, so let's read the comments, see what else they're having a go at us for. It still does not change the fact that Tommy is the perfect first opponent for Jake. He is popular, got the Fury last name, his skill is more so the same age, same height. There is no other boxer more perfect for Jake, and Jake knows it himself. I agree with that. Despite the difference in the pull that Jake has and how many fucking numbers he brings to the table, I think Tommy's a great opponent for Jake. I think Tommy has decent technical ability. I think it'll give Jake a real test to find out where the fuck he's at, because Jake's shown certain things that Tommy hasn't shown, but Tommy's shown certain things that Jake hasn't shown. So I think it's a great fight. I get your vested interest in complimenting the Paul brothers, but the notion that any boxer has to show he deserves to step in the ring with a guy that hasn't even fought a boxer is straight up insulting to boxing. You're thinking that I'm meaning this on a boxing level. I'm not. I am not saying Jake Paul is a massively superior boxer to Tommy, and therefore Tommy does not deserve to get in there. What I'm saying is Tommy's got to do some shit to make that fight sellable, because so far Jake has already got that. Jake has the sellable factor. Tommy Fury hasn't really created a lot of buzz for himself to match that. Aside from having the Fury last name, in the ring he's looked okay, but it's not like he's stopping people and looking really entertaining. And being the first on the card at Wembley with no audience there, no one caring, and struggling to get a guy out of there who can't even throw a decent jab, you've got to give people something to hold on to. You're making a highlight reel package when, I don't know, do you understand the point I'm making? I'm talking from an entertainment standpoint here, not from a boxing skill standpoint. 155 was spot on. Finally, someone said it. Jake blinded everyone with a knockout, but novices won't mention his below average boxing performance. A lot of people say I'm a Jake Paul fanboy, yada, yada, yada. But this kid got it. Like, I literally said in that video, Jake Paul did not look good in the last fight against Tyron Woodley. The knockout was good. It saved a bad performance, but he didn't look good. If we were to actually objectively compare, which is very difficult because Tyron Woodley is a legit threat in the ring of hurting you, and the Polish guy wasn't. But if we were to say who showed more boxing skill and technique, you'd probably say Tommy. But would Tommy be able to do that against a legit threat in Tyron Woodley? I don't know. But yes, I agree. Tommy has looked more skillful. Jake has looked more powerful. That's why this is an intriguing matchup, and that's why I'd like to see the fight. Geordie, I like you. Well, thank you. I like you too. If you're going to judge someone based on boxing stats of opponents he fought recently and not by the way he fought them, then why even comment on it? Bukansky, I think that's his name, would smash all of Jake's opponents without breaking a sweat. I mean, that's just not true, though.
It's just like wrong. It's not true.
Like, the guy was bad. He just was, though. Do you know what I mean? I liked him. He had a really long neck and everything, and I thought, you look kind of like a giraffe, and it's cute. This is an interesting one. That's just popped in my head, right? It's like, not a boxer, boxer. Not a boxer, boxer. Can we just agree? Anyone gets in a fucking boxing ring with a pair of gloves on is a boxer now. Tommy Fury getting in a ring with that Polish fella who'd beaten a bunch of fucking farmers, check the records, it's obvious, versus Jake Paul fighting an MMA world champion who knocked out legit badasses. And you're telling me Jake Paul isn't a boxer, but Tommy Fury is? You're all talking shit, quite frankly. And this isn't because I give a fuck about Jake Paul or Logan Paul or any of that bollocks. It's because I say what I fucking see. And I'm not saying Tyron Woodley's a good boxer, but he's more of a threat than that fucking Polish guy ever could be in his wildest dreams, even if he is a cute looking giraffe. He says this bum was there only to make Tommy look good. That's Jake's whole boxing career, just surrounded by yes men, matching him up with retired 40-year-olds. Let's just get this one thing straight, because I feel like I was a bit harsh on Tommy in saying that. to be fair. And I think that the truth of the matter is whether you're Tyson Fury, whether you're Prince Nassim, whether you're Anthony Joshua, all of the greats, right? All of the big names in boxing. Look at the first 10 fights, and you'll be lucky if you know who the fuck any of them are. Because anyone who makes it in boxing usually has been well looked after early on. You slowly increase the levels of competition. You want them to be able to learn in the gym, implement what they're learning in the gym without being put under too much danger early doors while you're still learning these lessons and finding your feet in the game. And the real tests come later on. That's what every boxer is going through. So for anyone out there pointing the finger at Tommy or Jake or any young fighter saying, oh, you're not when's he going to fight this person? It's going to come. At some point, it's going to come. I don't think it's fair to expect Jake Paul, after learning boxing for 3 years, to be fighting 15-0 fucking cruiserweights. It would be mental. And equally, I wouldn't expect that for Tommy. For anyone to be on Team Tommy or Team Jake and point the finger, it's ridiculous. Ben Askren is a pile of shit in a boxing ring, I agree. Just the same way, the Polish guy who Tommy thought was a pile of shit. Polish guy's probably a bit better. Barely, though. You know what I mean? Like, that's what we're talking about here. And that's the way it should be. Right, for now, because they've both got a lot to learn, but it's very intriguing to see them come and match up together because they're both young, they're both exciting in terms of name value, and they both bring something to the table. This whole video is pointless. How did Tyron deserve it or Ben Askren? They were world champions in another sport, and despite not being world champion boxers, which Jake should not be in the ring with at this point in time, they brought a lot of fans, they brought a lot of attention, and they helped hype the fight up, which is a lot more than what Tommy can do right now. That's why the question was posed, does Tommy deserve it? I think I've covered enough. I think I've said enough. So I hope I've got my point across here, because the last thing I wanted to do in the last video is come across as some Tommy hater. A lot of people will try and skirt around what they really think or feel. I'm never going to be one of those guys. And if I've made mistakes in the past about getting fights wrong, or one of the last comments on a video I made about fighting was, what does this guy know? He thought McGregor was going to beat Mayweather. I'm like, fucking hell. I mean, that was it was fucking a long time ago. I've really tried to learn the craft of boxing and fighting and throw myself in there because it's a true passion of mine. And that's the one thing that you lot and I have in common. So if you could just get off me fucking back and either watch the videos and enjoy them, and if you disagree, that's fair enough. But to perpetuate some of the bollocks I've seen in these comments, some of you lot, I just think, if you didn't like us, just fuck off. There's plenty of other boxing channels out there that, granted, don't get the views I get because I am fucking killing the game, but you can go and watch them. You can go and watch them. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, I'm not an expert. I'm just a fan of boxing like you lot, but I hope what I've said today makes sense and that it seems fair. And if it doesn't, well, I'll try better next time. Thanks for watching True Geordie Extra. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like the video. Oh, don't. I'll still get views anyway. And I'll see you later.